Good afternoon and welcome to EFL Transfer Zone here on Football League World TV. We are in the thick of the January transfer window and it certainly is starting to heat up across the three divisions. We've got all the latest EFL transfer news coming up for you next. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk, and I'm joined by Marcus Ali and Chris Gallagher, two of my colleagues. Marcus, how are you getting on this afternoon, mate?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, Sam. Similar thoughts to you. The window seems to be really ramping up as we edge towards the halfway stage. So, yeah, getting busy at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, how you getting on, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, as you said, a lot to get through today, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Plenty of EFL transfer lines to bring you this afternoon. As ever, we are streaming live across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So make sure to send in your comments. What do you make of some of the transfer rumours we're going to be talking about in today's show? Also, what players would you like your club to sign in this window? And are there any players within your current EFL side you'd like to see shifted on as we approach the January deadline? So let's get straight into it. So we're going to talk about some of the rumours first and then touch on the done deals later on this show. Let's touch on Nottingham Forest. Reports emerged yesterday afternoon that they were interested in MK Dons playmaker Scott Twine. Obviously, we know Scott Twine's been a fantastic figure in that MK Dons side this season. 11 goals and 8 assists as Liam Manning's side look to launch a genuine playoff push in the third tier this season. Forest are closely monitoring the player in this January transfer window. Marcus, will come to you. Scott Twine, someone we've spoken about a plethora of times on Football League World TV over the last few months. He's having a stellar season, isn't he, at Milton Keynes Dons? Are you surprised to see this sort of interest emerge?
I am a little bit, considering the names that Nottingham Forest have already been linked with in the window, the likes of Jed Wallace, and the stock of attacking players in a similar position to Scott Twine that they already have at the club. Philip Zinkernagel has been playing well in a number 10 role when given the opportunity. So I'm not sure Scott Twine would be able to walk into the side at the City Ground. Obviously, he's built a reputation off this long-range shooting ability, which definitely is elite in terms of EFL standards. But I maybe see this as a little bit too soon and too big of a jump. I think he'd probably be better off trying to stay the course and remain a big part of MK Dons' promotion push this season. But with the likes of Joe Lolly, Alex Myton, and of course Brennan Johnson in attacking positions that Twine has played in previously at Nottingham Forest, I'm a bit unsure as towards the practicalities of how many minutes he'd actually get if this deal did go through. Maybe if this was one to make some room for a potential Brennan Johnson exit, then I would understand it a little bit more. But without that background, I do think they're already well stocked in this area, and to shell out the kind of money that you would need to bring in Scott Twine would possibly be a bit ill-advised at this stage.
Yeah, potentially other championship clubs might be a better fit then for Scott Twine, given the array of options that Forest have got in that particular area. Chris, we've seen Scott Twine play in a bit more of an advanced position this season at MK Dons, almost as a striker. He wears a number 9 shirt at Stadium MK and has played quite advanced. You know, he's quite versatile, isn't he, when it comes to the positions he can take up in attacking areas. Do you think that versatility is a real quality that Forest will take a shine to?
Yeah, I do. I think, and a lot of clubs as well. And as you say, it's working, because you look at his numbers. I think it's 11 goals, 8 assists this season. So if someone is hitting those numbers and they're not an out-and-out striker, you're going to get a lot of interest in them. So yeah, it is something that clubs will find attractive in terms of what he can do. And it's good for him because he's still only young. I think he's 22. So if you are being shown you can adapt and play in different positions, it's only going to help you, especially in the final third, because the way the game has gone in recent years, there is more like the need for more fluid players to fill in different roles, and he's shown he can do it, which is a major boost for him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are a Nottingham Forest fan and you haven't seen Scott Twine in action, I definitely urge you to do so. Get yourself on YouTube and look at some of the long-range goals he scored this season. Some phenomenal strikes from Scott Twine in League One for MK Dons this season. Well worth a watch. But that's the first piece of transfer news for you. Nottingham Forest are closely monitoring Scott Twine at MK Dons. We'll keep you up to date with that situation as the weeks progress. Okay, another piece of EFL transfer news for you next. Blackburn, Stoke City and Swansea City are all eyeing a move for Barnsley right back Callum Britain. Britain really came onto the scene last season for Barnsley after arriving from MK Dons. Him and Callum Styles formed a bit of a partnership down the wings for Barnsley, both on opposite flanks, and it became a real kind of key component of Valérien Ismail's setup at Oakwell. Only 23, his contract expires in this summer. Barnsley do have an option to extend it, which you'd imagine they probably will, but Blackburn, Stoke and Swansea all very much hot on Britain's heels. Marcus, he's impressed, hasn't he, since arriving at Oakwell? Of these sort of linked clubs, do you think there's a team that stands out for him?
To be honest, I see a natural way that he breaks into all three of the sides. I think Swansea, he's played under Russell Martin before at MK Dons, and of course they're on the lookout for a right wing back after Ethan Laird was recalled and sent out to Bournemouth. Stoke only really have Tommy Smith to play right wing back. Beyond him, there isn't a lot of depth there. And then looking at Blackburn, Ryan Nyambe's contract situation, it would probably be sensible planning to look to bring in someone like Callum Britain to fill that void. He is versatile as well, as you mentioned. Thrived in a right wing back role last season, has played right back at times in his career, and personally I could see him succeeding as a right midfielder as well, potentially in a midfield four, playing in front and combining with another fullback. So he's a very attractive player, and I think given Barnsley's position in the table, he's not a player that will want to be playing third tier football next season. So there's plenty of clubs seeing an opportunity, and of course his contract situation only adds to that. So it's not a surprise to see some suitors for Callum Britain this month. He's not a player who's I think his performance levels, I don't think have dropped too much, despite the Dykes really struggling compared to last season. I think he's taken on a more senior role, even in quite a young Barnsley squad, it has to be said. So I definitely think he's a player that deserves to be playing Championship football next season, possibly competing at the top end like he was with the Dykes at the back end of last term. So I definitely think all three of these sides could do with a right wing back, and I could see Callum Britain succeeding there. There isn't really one front runner that I see as an ideal spot for him. Maybe having worked with Russell Martin before, that would be something that he'd be a little bit more inclined to do again.
Yeah, Britain only 23 years old. So again, lots of time for him to develop as a player and progress moving forwards. Britain, very much likes to play on the front foot. We see him bombarding down that flank. Very much a modern day fullback. You see, very adept when it comes to the kind of attacking play. Chris, what sort of qualities have you seen from Britain that suggest he's kind of worthy of a move to, I say, a higher club? A team that's perhaps pushing for promotion this season.
Yeah, I think you touched on there. He's very good, and Marcus mentioned he can play in different roles down the right side, and he has got a lot of energy, which obviously everyone needed to play for Ismail last season. And shows good quality at times. I think you would want more assists out of him. I think if you look at where the position he's in, you do need to be getting goals because he hasn't scored, I think, in the league. So you do need to get a bit more productivity out of him. But in terms of his age as well, you're looking 23 years old, someone who works hard, a good option, plays most weeks, is always fit and available. So yeah, there's a lot to like about him, and if you can get him on the cheap, you'd presume Barnsley will extend his contract. But even so, if he's entering the last year or the 18 months now, there's a good deal to be had for someone out there, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Blackburn, Stoke and Swansea City all eyeing Barnsley right back Callum Britain, one to keep tabs on for sure. Right, let's look at some more EFL transfer news next. Okay, this was very much a late addition to today's schedule for this EFL Transfer Zone show. We're hearing in the last hour or so that Middlesbrough are closing in on the signing of Australian midfielder Riley McGree. Of course, McGree left Birmingham this month after a really productive loan stint at St Andrews in the first half of this campaign. But it looks like Middlesbrough are going to win the race to sign the 23-year-old. Celtic were firmly in the race to sign McGree in this January transfer window, but it sounds like Chris Wilder's Borough have hijacked the move in the final kind of stages of the deal. In terms of the price tag for this, it's sounding like it could be well in the region of £5 million. kind of various figures have been touted on social media. £3 to £5 million seems to be the sort of region that Borough are going to pay for McGree. Marcus, then I'll come to you first. I think it's fair to say Birmingham City fans were very disappointed to see McGree depart in this window because he had such a positive impact on Lee Bowyer's side in the first half of this campaign. As for Middlesbrough, getting this deal over the line, what do you make of it? Do you think it's a good addition for Chris Wilder's side?
On the face of it, I'd say, yeah. I think one of the things Wilder will be looking to add either in this transfer window or in the summer will be a little bit more depth in central midfield. I think they've been relying on the likes of Johnny Howson and experienced players to perform week in, week out with not too much going on beneath them in the squad. The likes of Martin Piero and James Leosaliki have struggled to adapt to the league physically, and therefore their availability hasn't been as regular as the club would have wished. However, the price tag does put me off a little bit. I don't think it's the most sensible way to be spending £5 million. Although, as you mentioned, Blues fans were disappointed to see him leave. I feel like that was more due to very recent performances leading sort of at the back end of 2021. He was there for almost a season and a half and struggled to really establish himself as a regular starter in the Birmingham side at that point. Now, Brum haven't pulled up any trees in the last couple of years in the Championship. So for him to not be able to put his name on the team sheet on a regular basis, does that justify a price tag of £5 million? I know he's only 23, but I do see that as a little bit steep. It's clear ambition from Middlesbrough. If they want to shell out that kind of money, then that's their prerogative. But I definitely don't think it represents value in the market. So it would be a decent addition for the squad. And I do think it would put Borough in a better position in terms of looking at their depth chart. But for me, 5 million, and even if you say 3 to 5, 3, 4, 5 million, for me, you're overpaying.
Yeah, 2 goals and 2 assists for Riley McGree during his stint at St Andrews with Birmingham City. Chris, I suppose, again, we've spoken a lot about Middlesbrough, haven't we, on the EFL Transfer Zone since we started doing this show. They have been very, very heavily involved in a lot of the business and a lot of the speculation and rumours over the last few months. Is this another kind of statement of intent from Steve Gibson, the owner, and Middlesbrough to get a player of Riley McGree's kind of quality? And more importantly, the sort of money they're forking out. Obviously, we saw Gallagher arrive at the Riverside this afternoon. Is this another kind of show of a statement of their intent that they mean business in this window and they want promotion this season?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of money, as Marcus mentioned there. I think, especially with Celtic involved, I think Ange Postecoglou gave him his Australia, or brought him into the Australian camp. So there was that personal connection. So for Middlesbrough to beat Celtic to this signing, it shows they must be, obviously they've upped the fee, I think, to the MLS side and the wages. So yeah, Wilder can't moan about not being backed at all. I'd have a few reservations, as Marcus touched on, in terms of whether it is value. But yeah, I think Wilder came and he's done really well, but he's recognised where they need to improve, and they've gone and acted quickly in this market. I think Balogun's a good signing up front, and McGree, whilst it might be slightly overpaying, they're getting a good midfielder, someone who's young, got his best years in front of him, and will bring quality to the squad. So yeah, the fans should be excited about how this month is playing out, and they'll definitely be eyeing top 6 this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a flurry of comments come in from YouTube. Let's just scroll through a few of them. Miles up the Borough. JC Football gutted when McGree left and was hoping he would end up at Celtic rather than another Championship side, but he will do a good job for Borough. But 5 million is a bit much. JC Football agreeing with Marcus Ali there. Just finally then from JC Football, does anybody know where Middlesbrough get all this money from? Because they always seem to spend a lot and never hit with any FFP infringements. I think that's a topic for another debate show on Football League World TV in the coming weeks. But there we go. Keep your comments coming in. We'll get them up on this live show. Just finally, we'll just touch on one more comment coming in from Martin Cawthorne. I wouldn't be surprised if Luton went for Scott Twine. We were tracking him before MK Dons. Right, let's touch on some more news next. A plethora of clubs are keeping tabs on Queen's Park Rangers striker Lyndon Dykes, namely Newcastle, Burnley, Bournemouth, and Norwich are just some of the clubs to be linked with the Scotland international. He scored 6 goals this season for Mark Warburton's side. He scored 12 last season. Marcus, let's come to you then. Rumours of a move for Dykes have they've been quite prevalent over the last few weeks. Lots of different clubs have been linked with a move for the player. Let's just touch on some of the names that I just kind of aforementioned there: Newcastle, Burnley, Bournemouth, and Norwich. Can you see him going into any of these sides and making a real impact? And more importantly, do you think he's good enough to ply his trade in the Premier League?
I think he has the potential to be good enough, but currently I wouldn't say so, no. He's been in and out of the QPR side this season, probably due to injury issues more than anything else. But I think that the main thing that stands out looking at that quartet is the current Premier League bottom three. And I think they'll all be pre-planning for a potential relegation to the Championship. A lot of them are quite far adrift in the Premier League at the moment. I don't see Dykes as a striker that's going to fire you away from relegation in the Premier League just yet. At least his goal scoring form doesn't suggest that in previous years. He is a striker who's on the up. He's, as Chris mentioned with Riley McGree, this is another player that's definitely got his best years ahead of him and has improved a great deal even just this season at QPR as their attacking contingents really come on leaps and bounds. But I wouldn't say he's ready to be a regular starter in the Premier League yet. And I probably think that QPR will be able to keep hold of him this month, as they have done with some of their better assets towards the back end of the summer transfer window, particularly with the carrot of potentially even earning promotion with Rangers themselves this term.
Yeah, absolutely. Given he has been linked with a number of Premier League sides, Chris, I'll come to you. For any Newcastle, Burnley, Norwich fans that are watching this show right now or on demand on YouTube, what sort of qualities does Lyndon Dykes possess? Because some of these fans might not have seen him play for Queen's Park Rangers. What sort of qualities and attributes do you feel he has?
Well, he's a big, strong target man, isn't he? I think, and they might have seen him for Scotland. He really helped Scotland when he got called up to play for Steve Clarke's side, and it was his off the ball work. Really, he leads the line well. You will naturally, if you are interested in a player, just look straight to the stats. And I think it's 6 goals this season. The Championship isn't going to excite any Premier League fans, but that's not really his game. He is one who will battle with the defenders. He'll hold the ball up, and I'm sure all his teammates do like playing alongside him. So he's one of those strikers. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say he's good enough to make the step up, but for QPR, he does a very good job, and he does chip in with goals. So I don't think they'll want to lose him, and I think he'll be enjoying where he is now. But yeah, he's very effective for the R's, and Warburton will definitely not want to sell.
Yeah, for sure. Just finally then on Lyndon Dykes, Marcus, of them linked clubs, you perhaps think Burnley might be a standout team for him, given the news with regards to Chris Wood. Obviously, Newcastle United activated Chris Wood's release clause yesterday, and he looks set for a move to the Magpies. Do you think Lyndon Dykes would be an adequate replacement for Chris Wood for Sean Dyche's Burnley?
It'd be an interesting one. I think there'd definitely be an adaptation period. Burnley play a very different style of play to what QPR do, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was given a run in the team, maybe 10, 15 games for Lyndon Dykes to get up to speed and start building relationships with the players around him. That is a huge blow for Burnley, and they will look to fill that void this month, I'm sure, if Chris Wood does end up moving on. But I'm not sure Lyndon Dykes is the answer. Again, I think that anyone signing Lyndon Dykes in this window, particularly the club's position where they are in the Premier League table, would be with thinking of bouncing back at the first time of asking next season, rather than kicking on to try and stay up in the division. It would represent good business. He's a good age, and has a lot of good qualities to adapt to Premier League football in the future. I'm just not sure he's ready right at this moment in time.
Queen's Park Rangers fans, get yourselves in the comments. Do you expect Lyndon Dykes to depart your club in this transfer window? Please do let us know. Right, let's touch on some more news next. There is growing interest in Blackpool winger Josh Bowler in this January transfer window. It was reported a couple of weeks ago that Nottingham Forest have already had a bid rejected for the former Everton man. Fulham Blackburn and Stoke City are the latest clubs to be linked with the 22-year-old. He's become a real impressive figure in Neil Critchley's side this season. Perhaps hasn't got the kind of goal and assist return that perhaps his performances have warranted. But he's been a real live wire in that Tangerine side, really proving to be a key cog for Neil Critchley. Marcus, let's come to you then first. First of all, can you see Blackpool selling? Because he's becoming one of their most prized assets, isn't he?
I think it would feel a little bit premature to let Josh Bowler go at this stage. I think it's his first permanent move away from Everton, just signing in the summer for the Tangerines. So it's just half a season to cash in already would show a little bit of a lack of ambition. We saw what happened to Hull when Josh Bowler was on board, actually, a couple of seasons ago. They sold some of their better players and then slid down the table in 2019-20, ended up finishing rock bottom of the Championship. Blackpool have had a very positive start to the season, but I wouldn't say that they can afford something like that to happen. So if they are going to look to offload Josh Bowler, that would definitely be a negative move from the club hierarchy. I think he would be better placed to stay at Blackpool and see out the campaign, where he knows he's going to be starting week in, week out. He's a bit of a throwback of a winger, someone that's willing to take it down the byline and cross it and really run at players whenever they get the ball. And Neil Critchley's had a great impact on his career, because it wasn't really we probably didn't go into this Championship season expecting Josh Bowler to be one of the standout players for Blackpool who could really kick on and bring around this interest come January. So I think he'll show some respect to Critchley, who's improved the outlook of his career so far this season. And I think he should definitely stay at Blackpool, and maybe there'll be a move in the summer, but he's definitely a player that's playing really well where he is. So I think his development path, at least for the rest of the season, should remain at Bloomfield Road.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because Josh Bowler clearly wasn't really fancied at Everton during his time at Goodison Park. Had that kind of loan spell at Hull City as well, and showed flashes of real quality. But you just get the feeling that he's found his home at Bloomfield Road right now. He's really settled into life under Neil Critchley and is performing at a high standard at the moment. So, like you say, Marcus, it probably is a little bit premature for Bowler to be moving on at the moment. Chris, I'll come to you then on Bowler. I was a little bit surprised to see Fulham linked with a move for the player, given their array of kind of options on the wing and in attacking areas. Let's look at Blackburn and Stoke then. Could you see Bowler kind of enhancing their squad if he did arrive at either of them?
Yeah, I agree entirely with Fulham. That did seem a strange one, but yeah, I think he could. I think you mentioned earlier the stats aren't great, but they don't tell the whole story in terms of what he does offer. I think the way Tony Mowbray, in particular, Blackburn has improved players. So obviously, Brereton Diaz is the standout one. Bowler would be a decent move for him, but yeah, I couldn't really argue with Marcus saying he should stay at Blackpool and get minutes under his belt and keep improving, because he's 22, but he has probably played as much as he would have wanted in the last 3 or 4 years. So this does seem like the right club. But yeah, I think Blackburn or Stoke he would improve the squad without doubt, but he would also have a battle to get into the team. So I'd say he would benefit from staying where he is.
Yeah, for sure. Blackpool fans, get yourself in the comments. Do you expect Josh Bowler to remain a Tangerine past the January transfer window? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Right, we've got a few more EFL transfer lines coming up for you next. It sounds like Swansea City are closing in on the signing of Fulham right back Cyrus Christie. Christie's found it hard to get into that Cottagers 11 in recent seasons, especially this season under Marco Silva. They've got some real strong fullbacks in that side at the moment. Obviously, Anthony Robinson and Kenny Tete, the current fullbacks, are kind of solidifying their role in the team. But Swansea looking for a replacement for Ethan Laird, who, of course, was recalled by Manchester United and then sent to AFC Bournemouth on loan for the rest of the season. Marcus, again, we'll come to you first. 29 years old, plenty of experience within the EFL, and, of course, plenty of experience with his international side, Republic of Ireland. What do you make of this?
I like the sound of it, actually. I do think Cyrus Christie is the right sort of mould of fullback that could do well under Russell Martin. I think he definitely takes some time to get up to speed, maybe be someone that Martin would have to ease him into the side. But with just his contract running out at the end of the season, I think Christie would definitely represent value in the market, as you mentioned, looking to replace Ethan Laird. It's no slight on his ability for me that he's fallen out of favour at Fulham. I mean, just mentioning Kenny Tete and the Championship, looking at his previous career, it just shows that the talent that Fulham have at their disposal. So I don't think that should sort of downgrade our opinion of him at all. As I mentioned, he's only made one cup appearance in senior action for Fulham this season. So fitness-wise, match fitness-wise, it might take some time. But I do like the sound of this one. 29 years old, still got a way to go, but would have plenty of... Well, he's got promotion on his CV in the Championship as well. So that's something else that he could bring to the squad. Has played in high-pressure environments before, as you mentioned, international level. So I think this would be a really good addition. Someone that might not hit the ground running, but definitely possibly going into next season and really shaping the new look of Swansea going forward. I think Cyrus Christie would be a very sensible addition.
Yeah, again, it's never a bad thing, is it, to add some a wealth of experience into your side. Chris, do you think this element of experience that Cyrus Christie had has played a part in this particular move? Because that Swansea City side is relatively young, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely going to help. They are a young side, there's no getting away from it. So to have a player who knows the league, who will, like Marcus said, the only real issue is going to be the match fitness. But you'd hope after a few weeks, and he's obviously still been training, so you'd hope after a few games he would be ready to make an impact. I kind of feel sorry for Swansea on this one because they didn't really plan for Laird going back to or being recalled and then sent to Bournemouth. So I presume the recruitment team are working months in advance, so they'd have had right wing back as sorted for this season. So it's kind of thrown their plans and that to act quickly. So to get an experienced player who can come in and make an instant impact, which Christie should, is just a smart signing if they can get it done. And Martin wouldn't have any worries about throwing him in straight away, which is what you want from a January signing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Swansea City fans, let us know in the comments what do you make of the proposed signing of Cyrus Christie from Fulham. Right, we've got one more piece of EFL transfer news for you next. It's being reported that Birmingham City are stepping up their interest in Swansea City defender Jake Bidwell. He's been a target for Lee Bowyer for a long time now, but it sounds like they're really ready to launch an official move for the Swansea man. Not necessarily been fancied by Russell Martin this season. He hasn't started the Swansea's last 4 games. His contract also expires in the summer. I think it's fair to say Birmingham also could do with adding to the left back area. We've seen Christian Pedersen and Jeremy Bella often utilised in a left wing back role, both possibly, definitely in Bella's circus in case, isn't necessarily a left wing back by trade. Marcus, then we'll come to you first. Clearly a player that Birmingham City have been targeting for a considerable amount of time now. What do you make of this?
I think it'd be a really good signing, to be honest. Out of contract at the end of the season, so is Christian Pedersen, who I think has been one of Birmingham's better players in recent years. And I would probably argue with Bowyer so insistent on sticking with 3 at the back formation. I think Pedersen's probably more suited to playing on the left side of the back 3 than taking on that wing back role. Bidwell's got a lot of experience of it in recent years, and at 28 years old, he seems to fit the sort of profile of player that Lee Bowyer likes to bring in. I think he's not someone known for blooding younger players and looking to develop them. He's looking to get a lot of experienced players into his side and have them collectively going for their targets. So I think Bidwell would definitely present value in the market with his contract situation and potentially with Swansea looking to offload him as well. But also with Pedersen's contract situation in the background, potentially losing him in the summer. I think that's a ready-made replacement in Jake Bidwell. And of course, it could release Jeremy Bella, who's probably one of Blues' best attacking talents, to potentially play further forward in the side. We've seen them struggle in the final third in the last couple of months, with what's been a really tricky run for the club. They haven't capitalised on the strong starts of the season that they made. So I think that's another maybe angle of looking at it. I think all round, I think Bidwell and Birmingham would be a pretty good fit.
Yeah, it certainly does sound like it. Bidwell, again, a player that's not afraid to kind of maraud forwards from left wing back as well. So you'd imagine he could contribute in an attacking sense as well. Chris, for me, Jake Bidwell's a very solid player in the Championship. He's had a number of seasons now at this level. You know what you're going to get with Jake Bidwell. There's an air of no nonsense about him, but at the same time, he is capable of contributing in an attacking sense, like I've just said. What do you make of it from a Birmingham perspective? Do you think it's a shrewd potential move here?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I think Marcus mentioned the important point there with Pedersen's contract. I think the noises from St Andrews are that he's going to leave, whether that's this month or in the summer. So if they can get Bidwell in, as you've mentioned, a good player, it's sensible business from Birmingham, which we haven't really said too much over in the past. So I think the fans might be what they're thinking ahead and planning ahead. But yeah, it does. There's nothing wrong with this at all. They're going to have a problem when Pedersen does leave, and Bidwell will solve it straight away. Will be ready to play if it's this month, if it's in the next season. It's a cheap fee now or on a free transfer. So yeah, there's not much to dislike about this at all. It suits Birmingham, it suits the player who's not playing, and it would be a good signing if they can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Birmingham City fans, let us know in the comments your thoughts on a potential move for Swansea City defender Jake Bidwell. We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, well, that concludes our look at some of the main EFL transfer rumours floating about at the moment. We're just going to run through some of the latest done deals in EFL for you next. As we've already mentioned in this show, Middlesbrough have completed the signing of Folarin Balogun from Arsenal on loan until the end of the season. Peterborough United have signed Swansea goalkeeper Stephen Bender on loan until the end of the season. Staying on the topic of Swansea City, they've confirmed the signing of MK Dons goalkeeper Andy Fisher. This was news we've spoken about considerable amounts of time on this EFL Transfer Zone show over the last few months. That deal has finally been completed. Stoke City have signed centre-back Taylor Harwood-Bellis on loan from Manchester City. He, of course, enjoyed a stint over in Belgium with Anderlecht during the first half of this campaign. And finally, Queen's Park Rangers have signed Derby County goalkeeper David Marshall on a permanent deal until the end of the season. Right, well, that concludes today's episode of the EFL Transfer Zone here on Football League World TV. Marcus, Chris, thanks for joining me this afternoon. Thanks for everyone that tuned in to watch it, and thanks for everyone that got into the comments. If you're watching this show on repeat on YouTube, please do stick a like in underneath this video and subscribe to FLW TV. It really, really does help us out as a channel. Coming up on Football League World TV tomorrow, we've got 2 debate shows for you. In the morning, we'll be talking about Blackburn Rovers and their chances of automatic promotion this season. And then later on in the day, we're going to be talking about Sutton United down in League 2. Can they achieve successive promotions from League 2 this season? But once again, thanks all for watching, and we'll catch up soon.